The special called board meeting of December 16, 2021 is called to order. Member Washington will now lead us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Would you now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. I have a motion by Member Gray, and I have a second by Member Perez. Any discussion? Please vote when your lights appear. And it passes unanimously. Let the record reflect that all board members are present either in the boardroom or by remote. Board members, I'd like to go over the format of today's meeting. We've allotted an hour and a half for today's meeting. We are practicing social distancing as much as possible, so we ask that guests in the boardroom keep one chair open between families. As a reminder, we are a nonpartisan board who believe all children can be empowered to learn to succeed, and our decisions will be made with that understanding. To pave the way for efficient and effective agenda statements and/or questions, board members will have 3 minutes to speak with 30 seconds for final thoughts. Afterward, the superintendent can respond. If you have further questions, you're asked to get back in the queue. Member Washington will now read the board guidelines.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we begin this morning's meeting, let me quickly review the format of our school board meetings. Please silence all electronic devices. There are speakers in the room behind me that allow board members to hear the meeting upon stepping away from the dais. This meeting can be viewed with closed caption on live webcast, on cable TV, and on video monitors here in the auditorium. It also can be viewed with closed caption in the online video archive.
The board welcomes comments from citizens and values your input to the board. In order to provide the most comprehensive response to your comments, our staff will follow up with you and will keep our board informed about the responses. Our school board respects the public's right to speak to the board, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here. However, it is requested when you address the board, comments are not directly personally against a board member or staff member, but rather directed at the issues. Any behavior intended to interrupt the orderly conduct of this meeting will not be allowed. Our civility policy is in place. When addressing the board, please state your name and speak clearly into the microphone. This morning, each speaker will have 3 minutes. When there are 30 seconds left, you will see a yellow light on the lectern. A red light and a chime will indicate when your time is up. I will now call up the first speakers. The first speaker will be Mr. Sinclair.
Good morning. My name is David Sinclair. I am here today representing LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens. It is the oldest and largest Hispanic civil rights organization in the United States. I am a LULAC State of Florida and local district board member. I have also been a school teacher here in Hillsborough County and have been a certified teacher in the state of Florida. On behalf of LULAC, I am here today to endorse MAP F. F as in Frank. MAP F represents a fair representation of minorities countywide and a fair representation of Hispanics in District Number 1. We cannot ignore the rapid growth of Hispanics in this county. Hispanics are the largest minority group at 30%, according to the 2020 census. More importantly, 39% of public school students here are Hispanic. Hispanic voters live in District 1 and in other districts too. Also, we want to speak against the other map because map E does not provide appropriate representation of minorities in general. Again, LULAC endorses map F, as in Frank. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. I'm Sally C. Lee, and I would just like to say I would like to support MAP F and the rest of the maps and things that you all have to take in consideration is to let God lead you to do the right thing for the children, our future, so that they can learn and earn and grow up to be good future citizens. Sally C. Lee. Thank you. Happy New Year. Happy Christmas.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Johnny Johnson. I'm down here to support MAP F as well. It provides a fair representation of minorities and blacks, gives an opportunity for multicultural learning from students of all ages and ethics. So again, the reason I'm down here is to support MAP F. It keeps the community together, it keeps families together, and it keeps friends together, and our kids is our future. So again, nothing against the other maps, it just doesn't represent minorities as fair as it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. I'm sorry, it's too loud. My name is Joseph Rojas. I'm a Venezuelan American, proud. Thank you so much to every one of you for the job that you've done. I think, and I'm here to support MAP F. I think also that it's just a fair for support for the minorities in the counties. I'm not a public speaker, and it's my first time talking probably in public. This is the most I've done it before, so I apologize if I'm kind of trembling, so sorry. Thank you so much, Ms. Perez, for your support. I think that we have met in the support that you've done for the Latino community. It's very important, and it means a lot to us. The Venezuelan community really appreciates your job, and everybody else's too. Thank you. I'm here for support of MAPF. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Javier Guerrero, and I'm here today as a resident of Hillsborough County, a Hispanic, and a concerned parent. I would like to also speak up for MAPF, the map presented by Ms. Perez. I believe it's the one that better represents the Hispanic community. Specifically, I would like to object to District 2 in Map E, which seems to dissolve the representation of Hispanics. We're going through a time of gerrymandering and suppression of minorities, and I believe that Map F is the most inclusive that has been presented. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board. I'm Bishop Michelle B. Patty, the Senior Pastor of Trinity and Faith Ministries. I'm here in support of MAP F. It is very inclusive. It's a fair map. And when you look at West Tampa, Progress Village, these units need to stay together. It does take a village, and especially in the climate we're in, to stay together so we can be united. Also, I'm 68 young. I am a native of Hillsborough County, and this is the first time seeing 41% of African Americans being recognized in a district. It is time for us to move forward into 2022, being cohesive, being transparent, but most of all, being inclusive. So MAP F is the way to go. It is not about personalities. It's not about individual. It is about our children. And our children is at stake at this moment. So let's move forward into the new year doing the right thing for all people, no matter your color, your gender, your origin, your political aspirations, or whatever it may be. MAP F is the fairest map that we have on this platform. So to each and every one of you all, a happy holiday, and we just say God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Excuse me. Hi, my name is Veronica McDonald. I live in District 3 in North Tampa. And so I'm going to highlight specifically my district. I think that minority representation on our board should be attainable in every district, not because we specifically are pushing constituents into one district for more Hispanic representation. Karen Perez represents the Hispanic constituents fantastically, and as she said, she was not elected by chance. Looking directly at District 3 for maps E and F, I noticed that the Hispanic population under map F is 69,605. Under map E, it is 66,926. The black representation is 42,500. Under map E, it is 35,640. The Asian population is 27,786 under map F, 27,782 under map E. Native Hawaiian population is 421 under map F, and 349 under map E. Most of these minority populations decrease significantly under map E. What does increase significantly is the white population under map F is 187,607 and 201,233 under map E. What we've done under map E is taken all diversity out of District 3 where I live, basically making it harder for a minority to ever get elected to District 3. I fully support MAP F because it is a very diverse map. It does not crack or pack any constituents, any minority constituents into any one district. We have heard from plenty of people here. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
All right. Good morning. Thank you, Chair Combs, Vice Chair Washington, the board, Superintendent Davis for the space to speak. I'm an ESE teacher and a CTA union rep at Middleton Magnet High School and a past Ida B. Baker Diversity Educator of the Year with experience in alternative, adult, and traditional education. I strongly urge your vote of MAP F for redistricting. This map is the most equitable map and provides a block of power for the black community, which must be protected. The map also unites Progress Village with the rest of the black community, keeps historically black areas of West Tampa with the rest of the black community, and unites South County. Thank you for your consideration and your time. In closing, Dr. King said, the time is always right to do what's right.
Thank you. The following item will now be heard, C61101, selection of final school board redistricting map. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
So good morning. Thank you so very much. As you know, the school district followed a extensive process over the last 2 months, being able to engage the community at the same token, making certain we have open platforms for community members to engage and provide feedback to our school district related to the maps. As we received feedback, there was a number of considerations related to identifying Map E and Map F, for those being the two maps to be highlighted as we review all of the information within our feedback. There also, when we talk about feedback, there was particular highlights related to making certain there was a additional seat on the East County side of the work, and then also looking at being able to, when you look at the feedback, potential concerns related to the timeline of implementation in that process. I will say that we appreciate the feedback from constituents. There was also, last one was being able to potentially move it to 2023. But with that said, over 100 individuals identified and provided feedback to our school district as relates to our work. We really appreciate the BOCC identifying and working to provide maps to the school district, and the board being able to select 3 maps that will move forward in the direction. So at this time, we transition this back to you, Ms. Combs or Mr. Porter, to be able to speak to this process. And upon completion of this process, if the board is at the board's will, we'll be prepared to be able to message this information out to the community and identify, and also to social media outlets, and also on our website, that identifies the new maps that have been adopted, and then being able to push that to all of our constituents, just being able to highlight that information.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Yes, Mr. Porter?
So board members, today, unlike most things that come before you, the superintendent's not making a recommendation, so you're not reacting to a recommendation. This is entirely your decision. The most appropriate thing right now would be to get a motion on the floor to select one of the maps. At the last meeting, as the superintendent said, you narrowed the 6 maps down to 3, and today you just need to choose one. And so there's no ranking, there's no sort of deciding which ones are in order. You're just going to make a motion to adopt a map, and you need 4 votes to do that. The Florida statutes require that the vehicle that you do it in is by resolution. So there's a draft resolution here, which is sort of the technical language. Once the map is done and adopted, it becomes effective immediately, but we will send it to the supervisor of elections. We have to publish it in the Tampa Bay Times, and we have to have it certified by the clerk and then sent to the Secretary of State. We'll also get the voting district tabulations attached to it, and I've already been in contact with Mr. Latimer, the supervisor of elections, about that. So your job today is just to pick a map, and then we'll take it from there and formalize it in the way that's appropriate. So you need to get a motion on the floor, and then you can discuss.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Porter, for the great summary. And I have Ms. Perez. Member Perez, please.
Yes. I move that we adopt the resolution approving Map F as the official map designating the boundaries of the school board member residence areas.
I have a motion by Member Perez, and I have a second by Member Vaughn. Any discussion? Member Hahn?
Thank you, Member Combs. I just want to put something on the record that I didn't have an opportunity because the meeting ended rather quickly last time, and it's in regard to district variance. District variance is when it is important to ensure fairness of a map, and a lot of folks talked about fairness this morning. And Map E, well, first, Map E has a variance of 0.5%, which means that it most closely meets with the letter of the law in regard to ensuring the one person, one vote, or one unit requirement. Map C has a 7.5% variance, which is quite a bit higher, and Map F has even a higher variance of 8.5%. I say that because the Supreme Court in the past has ruled that for a state or local district to survive a court challenge, these districts must also have as near equal population as possible, unless the state or district can show that there is a legitimate reason for an unbalanced district population. So you have to show that every effort was made by this school board to minimize the population variance among the districts. Just a last few comments specific to Map E, in addition to the variance, is that it does have the highest Hispanic population by far. It takes into consideration the largest Hispanic communities in Hillsborough County. It keeps together the historically Hispanic areas of West Tampa. And it does a good job at taking in the, considering the growing suburban areas of Riverview. Map E keeps together Progress Village, Encore, and the historically black areas of West Tampa, which is crucial, as many have discussed, that is very important. And as I just mentioned, it does have the lowest variance in population, making it the fairest map in that regard. And I don't know if Mr. Porter could speak to the implications of not demonstrating that every effort was made and the implications of the difference in variance.
All the maps before you meet the basic minimum criteria. We can't stop anyone from suing us, but we can defend any of the maps that are up for consideration.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to be clear that there is a huge discrepancy in the variance of these maps, which demonstrates that there is this board does have the ability to minimize the population variance. So I'd ask you to consider that today as well. And in Map E, certainly there are lots of similarities among the maps, but it's clear that Map E has a lot more strength in certain areas as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Hahn. Member Vaughn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thank you to all the people who came out and spoke today, who came and spoke at the last meeting, who have emailed us, who have gone to the town halls. I really love to see engagement in the political process. I did want to add, thank you, Superintendent, for telling us about the town halls. That I had my secretary tally up the emails that we got, and I just wanted to give a report on that. As of yesterday, and there was a few discrepancies based on which search terms they used, but I had gotten, I don't know about the other the other members, but about 64 emails for Map F, and about, I think, 23 or 24 for Map E. And we also had received, I think, 7 or 8 more for Map F yesterday, and I think maybe 1 for Map E. So I just wanted to give the public some feedback that aside from the town hall meetings and the people who are able to make it to the meetings during a work day, that we do get feedback in other ways, and just be reflective of some of the feedback that I've received. I appreciate all the conversation about the maps. I looked into the maps. Specifically, I looked at my district. And as one of the speakers said today, one of the things that I value in District 3 is it's extremely diverse. It has the largest population of Asians. It has a large population of Hispanics, a large population of African Americans, a large population of Caucasians. And I think, honestly, when I looked at it, it represents our county as closely as it possibly can. It's one of the most diverse districts. Unfortunately, under some of the other maps, and specifically Map E, it does wipe out a lot of the diversity in my district. When I did the calculations, it takes about 17,000 people of color out of my district. And for me, making sure that my district, District 3, stays as diverse as possible and represents our county as much as possible is extremely important to me. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my evaluation of my map and my district specifically, because I know we've talked a lot about District 1 and District 5, but District 3 is the district that I represent. And like I said, I want to make sure that I keep it as reflective and diverse as possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Snively?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo some of the sentiments of my fellow board member, Dr. Hahn, as far as being most fair and balanced with regard to population. One of the concerns I have looking at Map F versus Map E is that I currently have 309,719 constituents that I'm representing, which is a very large number for one board member to represent, obviously. And one of the ideas was to reduce the number of constituents to be more fair. However, Map F only reduces it by a few thousand, because Map F is going to allow for 305,850 constituents, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense because of the rapid growth that we're seeing in my part of the county or the south part of the county. So I'm very concerned that this doesn't necessarily address the fair and balanced number of constituents across each district. Since 2010, my area has realized a 24% growth in population. And so I don't see that changing anytime soon because we know the amount of schools that are going to be necessary to build over the next 10 to 15 years. So this, if MAP F is chosen, it will truly be a Band-Aid on a broken arm. And we will have to go back, most likely, and reevaluate. This will not be sustainable for a 10-year period. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. And then the question I had for the superintendent or his team, one of the pieces of information I haven't seen for each district is the number of schools. I currently represent 61 schools in District 4. How many schools will I be representing with MAP F? Does anyone know what the change in the number of schools will be?
Marcus? No, we don't, and let me tell you why. Because the county came up with all the population percentages, and schools were not one of the factors. It was only based on population in the 4 caveats that we outlined at that part of it too. The team will work diligently as soon as this is voted on to make sure you have those maps and have those updated as soon as possible. But we did not do them for the 6 scenarios or the 3 just because it was so time intensive to do that.
Well, and that's unfortunate, and I feel that possibly is a product of the rushed process of this particular mapping situation. If we had more time, we could probably have that information as well. So it's difficult, I think, to make a decision without all of the information necessary to make it. But looking at the map, it appears that I gain additional territory geographically in the district, which indicates to me that there will be additional schools that I will be representing in District 4, which also to me is not a fair spread of population with regard to census information. So I cannot support MAP F at this time because of that. I just don't think it's fair and balanced as other maps are. So I will continue to support MAP E, but also will reiterate this entire process is still flawed in my opinion, and I wish we had more time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Snively. Member Perez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if we were to calculate the population variance between student populations and MAP F, it actually would only be 4.3%. And then the number of schools, to Member Snively's point, there is currently an enormous disparity in the number of schools in each district, with the largest district having 58 schools and the smallest having just 31. MAP F makes this more equal, with the number of schools ranging from 40 to 51. MAP F also, by far, the largest African American population in District 5, at 41% of the black population. And then none of the historically black districts in Hillsborough County, Tampa City Council, the County Commission, or the school board have ever had a map that increases the black population in that district this enormously. And this is a huge achievement and should serve as a model for how redistricting can serve marginalized communities. And MAP F also unites Hillsborough's black community even better than the current map. The current map doesn't pull all of Progress Village into District 5. MAP F does. And then also, speaking to the Hispanic population, MAP F has one of the largest Hispanic populations in District 1 and is projected to grow another 5.4% over the next decade. And that is my points for MAP 5.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to call the question at this time.
Okay, so the call question needs a second.
Do I have a second for a call to question if you want to clear the board?
Board, please.
Okay.
So there's a motion on the floor. Ms. Perez, a second. So there's no debate. You need to vote now. Calling the question means there's no more discussion and you'll vote on the main motion. If you want to end the debate, vote yes. If you want to keep talking, vote no.
Oh, could you repeat that? Sorry.
Sorry, if you want to keep if you want to keep debating, vote no. If you want to stop, vote yes.
Okay,
the
and it
motion-
passes, I'm sorry, the motion passes 5-2
so now-
to go ahead and move on to the vote.
So the vote is, just to be clear, the vote is to approve MAP F, and you'll do that through the vehicle of a resolution. That will be finalized after this vote. We'll include all the attachments that are necessary, but we couldn't do that, obviously, until you voted. So if you're in favor of MAP F, you vote yes. If you're not in favor of MAP F, vote no.
Please vote when your lights appear. Okay, and it passes 5-2, so it's 5-2 to vote for MAP F. 5 yes and 2 no, and Snively and Hahn voted no. This meeting is now adjourned.